All right, so is your retirement income actually taxable? The answer is yes. There are ways to actually make it tax-free too. Well, in this video, we're going to actually talk about that. Which ones are taxable, which ones are not. And by the way, there's a third option that's even better. And here's what I'm talking about. Okay, so you're wondering, like, is your retirement income actually taxable? Well, it depends on what kind of retirement vehicle you're using, right? Now, most of you are told to put money in your 401ks and your IRAs, aren't you? Right? You gotta put your money in that 401k with that company match, and then eventually it'll build and grow, and then you pull it out, and then you find out you're getting taxed. Now, I remember when I was working a corporate job before I was a financial advisor, and the very first time I hit my 6-month mark, so now I was at the point I could now fund that 401k. And I sit down in that room with the major, tax benefits person from HR, which really, she was not a financial specialist, but she liked to act like she was. So she says, okay guys, so we're gonna talk about the 401k, and it's so cool because the 401k, you could put your money in and you get a tax deduction. You get a tax write-off. So you don't pay tax on that money. It grows tax-free. And then when you pull it out, you will pay taxes, but it's okay because when you're old, you really don't need that much money anyways because your kids are moved out. You don't really do anything because you're old. And so you don't have to do anything about that. So you actually have paid less in taxes later on. And I could see the people that were like actually in their 50s and 60s kind of eye rolling saying, this woman doesn't know what she's talking about. It's not gotten cheaper for me, okay? And so that was one of the things, like I could even see, I'm like, wait a minute, she's assuming that we're just gonna have no life when we get older. That was definitely not the way to do it. And she's definitely not the financial expert, right? The truth is, yes, you do put your money in like a 401k or an IRA. These are traditional IRAs or the 401ks. You put money in with dollars that have not been taxed yet. So they take it out of your paycheck. You don't get taxed on that money now, but it does grow tax-free, but then it comes out, and really it's not even tax-free, it's tax-deferred, but then it comes out taxable. So you do get taxed on the back end. Income tax. Really, what I remind people is a 401k or an IRA has zero tax benefits. There are no tax benefits to an IRA or a 401k. The truth is, you're just delaying your income to a future date. Your hope is, and you're really gambling with this, your hope is the government will not raise taxes. I don't know about you, I do not trust the government to not do that, especially with right now, we're in one of the lowest tax brackets we've ever been in the over 100-year history of the federal tax rate. We're being taxed less now than almost any other time in this 100-year plus history. So if you're gambling that somehow our taxes are going to stay the same or get cheaper, the odds are not in your favor, right? This is kind of like Hunger Games. The odds may never be in your favor, right? If you want it in your favor, the odds are more likely they're going to increase your taxes. So what all you're doing is saying, I'm going to not get taxed now. By the way, I have more write-offs now because if I do have children, I'm getting tax write-offs, especially children living at home. If also I have a mortgage on my house, I'm writing off the interest. So you're getting tax deductions already. Maybe you're even donating and doing stuff to charities and whatnot because you're actively making more money right now. Well, great, you're getting all these write-offs. What happens as you do get older? Kids move out, so you lost that huge tax deduction right there. And you're probably not, if you're supposed to be doing what everybody else is telling you to do, you're debt-free. You've paid off your mortgage. And so you have nothing to write off with your mortgage. You have no write-offs, and now you're taking all your income. You think you're going to get taxed less in the future? And by the way, do you trust the government to actually lower taxes on in the future when they're already not able to pay their own debts? They can't even afford Social Security. They can't even afford the interest on their debts. They are literally sinking every year. They have to do one of two things. And usually what it means is they're going to have to tax more people. Now, they might say they're going to tax the rich, but let's be honest. They tax all of us more, right? They just give us mouth service. They tax the rich, but then they give more tax benefits on the back end so that we feel better. The truth is, the rich are getting the best tax benefits anyways, all the time. You, if you're middle income, you're middle class, you're the one getting screwed, right? So if you're putting your money down for the road, yes, you will be taxed in the future, and you will be taxed at the highest tax rate possible, which is called ordinary income tax. That is the worst tax you could possibly have. You might almost be better off putting your money in normal mutual funds or stocks or bonds and things like that, where you have capital gains tax, which is a different tax rate. It's actually a lower tax rate than your income tax rate. But that's, another side story. So just know that's the case. Now, there are ways to get around it. You could do a different type of tax strategy, which is a Roth IRA. A Roth IRA uses your after-tax money. So it doesn't come out of your paycheck. Instead, it's after-tax money that goes into there. It grows tax-deferred, and then it comes out tax-free. Now, you do have some rules you have to follow. One, they don't let you put in a lot of money. You're only allowed to put in about $6,000 a year or $7,000 a year if you're over the age of 50. And then two, they also tell you too that there's the 59.5 rule. So if you try to pull out your money beyond what you put into it, any extra gains that you've made, they will penalize you. You will actually get the 10% early withdrawal penalty. So still, your money's locked up until you're 60 unless you want to actually, pay more penalties. And that's not what most people do. So in my opinion, a Roth IRA is a better option. There's even a Roth 401k that's an option too, where you could actually not take the tax benefits now, like I was talking about earlier, instead just delay them till later, and you could have some benefits, and you might be able to contribute a little bit more into that Roth 401k and even get a match. Once again though, 401ks usually max you out about roughly $20,000 a year or so, depending on what's going in. And so the problem is this, is that 401ks especially, 401ks have another problem. Even if you get a match, the 401k accounts actually don't do market averages. The one that 86% of millennials actually pick today are called the target date retirement funds. They pick those. They say, well, all right, I'm gonna retire in 2060, so that's the fund I'm gonna pick. Or I'm gonna do a blend. Maybe I'll do 2050 and 2060 or something like that. Well, those funds have underperformed the market when you factor in fees and their bad performance by about 3%. But guess what? Even if you get a 100% match after that 30 or 40 year time frame, guess what that match, that 100% match actually really gives you as a return? 3%. So you're actually just as well off putting your money into the stock market, not putting it with a financial advisor, not putting it in the 401k, and you'll still make about the same money as a 401k with a 100% match. That's pretty sad. I've also noticed this too, is that when you factor in inflation and the real returns of the stock market and the real returns that you get in those 401ks, the truth is whatever you put in per year after inflation is what you pull out per year. So if you put in $20,000 per year, you're able to pull out roughly about $20,000 a year equivalent after you factor in inflation. And I did that off of, I think, conservative inflation rates. That should be scary to you, because if you're thinking, well, I don't want to live on $20,000 a year, I want more, that means either one, you try to work longer, or two, you pull out less, right? Or you try not to pull out too much money. Still, either way, it's not great. Or you hope you die sooner. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe you live on ramen because that's all you can afford, and then you die sooner anyways, and that's how you're able to make the money last you for that period of time. By the way, that's not a good strategy. I'm not recommending it. And so those are the options. So Roth IRA could be good, Roth 401k could be good, but just know that because of the limitations they give you, it may not be enough income to really move the needle if you want to avoid taxes down the road, which I think is better than paying a lot more taxes down the road. So what's that third option I was talking about? This is where I found out for myself I can make more income and I can still get tax benefits. And that's through real estate investing. I'm not talking about trying to buy a property in your backyard, although that could help you as well. But I personally like to be hands-off. I like to have freedom of my time along with freedom with my money. And maybe you're different. Maybe you're like, hey, I would love to do it. Maybe if I'm going to retire, this is the thing I want to do. Great, become a real estate professional. You get even more tax benefits than I get, because I get tax benefits from my real estate properties because I get to depreciate those properties. So even as I'm pulling off income, the depreciation, because the structure, not the land, but the structure, the building, the house, depreciates. Most people don't know this, that the real estate structure does not appreciate. It's the land that appreciates. The structure, for the most part, does not appreciate, unless material costs go way up really fast. But for the most part, because your house deteriorates over time, it gets cheaper. So you're able to legally, through the IRS, depreciate your property over 27 years. What does that do? That means you're able to write off the income you're earning and pay little to no tax on the real estate income you're receiving. That's even if you use after-tax dollars. So it's like a Roth IRA, but you don't have to wait till you're 59 and a half, and you can do it with a lot more money. Secondly, you could become what's called a real estate professional. If you have enough properties on your portfolio, and if you can justify showing that you can spend at least 750 hours a year, that's about average of 15 hours a week. That even includes if you go travel and go visit places, then you happen to go visit a real estate property along the way, you can count those hours and stuff. Lots of different ways you can do it. If you have enough hours, then you can actually become a real estate professional. You can actually show tax losses. So not only are you able to write off your income, you can actually show a loss. I have one friend that did that very same strategy. He literally made $1 million that year. His wife also made $75,000 as a teacher. They showed on their tax return $25,000 a year. He was able to write off not only all of his own income, but he wrote off most of hers too, to show that they made almost nothing. Needless to say, they got a tax return after paying no taxes. So it's possible. I'm not saying that's the case. I definitely do say consult a good CPA. And I'd also recommend too, here's a big warning. Don't just let taxes be the reason why you do or do not do something. Don't let the tax tail wag your dog, right? You don't want that. You want to make sure you're doing the things that are right for you. Sometimes I do investments that have no tax benefits at all, but pay such good income because maybe they pay me like 12% a year or 1% a month of income. If I have 100,000 with them, I get paid 1,000 a month. I might take that and say, I'll pay taxes on that because it might be more than the thing that I might get some tax benefits on, right? So there's just different reasons to do things, but don't let taxes be the only reason that you do something. So yes, you could do your 401ks and your IRAs and your Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks. You can do all those kind of things, SEP IRAs or whatever it might be. But remember, for the most part, unless it's a Roth, you're going to have to pay taxes down the road. And unless you're very trusting of the government, which I'm not, if you're very trusting of the government, great. Maybe you put your faith in them and that they're not going to raise your taxes down the road and you'll be fine. Personally, me, I like to get my tax benefits now and later. And by the way, I like to invest in places where politicians invest because they won't tax that, which by the way is business and real estate. That's where I put my money. You can make your own mind up. I'm not giving investment advice here, but I'm just telling you there are lots of great ways to do that. Now, are you looking for other great ways? What are some ways you can actually invest in different things? And what are those alternative investments that even your financial advisor won't tell you? Subscribe on our YouTube channel for this Money Ripples channel and then watch other videos. We got other videos specifically on these real estate strategies that you can dig into and have so much fun going down that rabbit hole. So go do that right now.